This is an interview with Lost Becomes guitarist Chef Brian Tsao on Sunday, May 9th, 2021 by Nick Perkel. Now, Brian, can you tell me about getting your very first guitar?
Yeah, my first guitar was an electric bass guitar that my brother handed down to me, and I still have it to this day. It's a total piece of shit, completely unplayable, but I will never let it go.
So, just wondering, what was the first song you learned on there?
The first song I can remember is, I think, Green Day's "When I Come Around," or "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This," the Marilyn Manson version. It was one of those two.
Were you involved with any music schools, conservatories, or have any private tutors growing up?
So I went to the China or the Beijing Conservatory of Music for a semester, and I took zero music classes. I was supposed to go into the music program, but my Chinese wasn't that good, and I also had zero background in, in any type of formal musical training. So I just took one semester and realized it was not for me.
When it comes to your history as a chef, what is your absolute favorite dish to make and why?
So just for myself personally, my favorite thing to put together is an egg and cheese sandwich with Martin's potato bread and some sriracha. That is my go-to all the time. I have, a very specific technique and way that I like to do it to get the cheese perfectly melted, to get the egg at the perfect texture. The bread has to be toasted. It's a process, but if you were to ask me, that would be my personal favorite dish.
For your creative mindset, do you feel like you've become a better chef through your time as a musician, or do you think you've become a better musician through your years of culinary training?
Oh, it's definitely they go hand in hand, and one feeds into the other. I've been a musician much longer than I've been a chef. I started learning how to play guitar when I was 13, 14 years old, something like that. And I've been a chef since I started in the culinary world around 20 years old. So now that's, roughly 16 years later. But one is definitely fed into the other for sure. Absolutely. The discipline of the chef world definitely helped me in my music, and things even outside of music. Running a band and being organized with all the stuff behind the scenes to have a successful band. Not to say that I have an extremely successful band, but that chef world background that I come from definitely helped in that aspect. And I think the music part of my life really helped keep me kind of flexible and open to all types of ideas in my work as a chef.
So, how do you guys in Lost Becomes meet one another? Do you have any history with each other?
Yes, we all have a history with each other, for the most part. I've known Alec, the drummer, and Will Gomez, the bassist, for years now. We know each other from the New York heavy metal scene. Will was really the first guy that I got very close with as a friend. He just so happened to live on the same block as me. And then Alec was also one of the, he was a great drinking buddy and just someone I always got along with. So when I first put this band together, it was very important that whoever I'm going to be jamming with on a regular basis had to be people that I got along with well. The guy that I have the least history with, and it's the same for Will and Alec, is Anthony Capozzi, who is the vocalist. We found him through a mutual friend. We've known him the shortest, but he definitely fits like a glove. We get along with him very well, and funny enough, one of our main criteria in the band was that he doesn't have to be the greatest singer, but he just can't be a dick. Fortunately, Anthony is not a dick, but he's also a great singer. So we got the best of both worlds.
Now, for your music video, Memory, at the end, where you're burying that suitcase, are you meant to be confronting something or putting an end to something?
I think it can be either or, and we leave that to interpretation. That particular narrative within the Memory music video was, I think, pretty obviously inspired by the Quentin Tarantino movie Pulp Fiction. And there's all types of, reaction video, not reaction videos, but fan theory videos on YouTube and all over the internet of what's inside that briefcase, right? And for myself personally, that's bearing away damaging memories that are holding you back. So for myself personally, it represents accepting those things that hurt, affected you negatively, but you're putting them away so that you can move forward with your life.
Now, with the hate crimes, the Asian American and Pacific Islander community in America, have you noticed any programs or organizations that have worked in the past, like the Midnight Basketball programs?
So I'm personally not familiar with Midnight Basketball. I did look them up, and programs like that are vital. I mean, those programs are great, and I wish that there was more like them and more funding to go into programs like that. Unfortunately, a lot of programs like that are getting a lot of funding cuts because of the current world situation. But when it comes to violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islander community, for my personal stance on it is, I mean, it's very clear why it's happening, and it's very unfortunate because a lot of these people are completely innocent, and they're just they're the trigger point and the receiver of a lot of pent up anger and aggression. But for myself personally, growing up in New York City as an Asian American, my father told me my entire life to watch my back and to always be on the defensive. Unfortunately, the people that are causing these crimes are not targeting guys like myself who are, 6 feet, 260 pounds, and can take a punch. They're targeting, very vulnerable people, which angers me a lot, actually.
For you as a musician, have you felt any sort of doors open for you, or anything has become easier for you in the past year as the coronavirus has picked up steam?
So I would actually kind of twist that. I'm going to shift my answer to not be focused as a musician, but as a creative. And 100%, 1000%, yes, I've been very fortunate during the pandemic that I've been able to work from home, which is not very normal for my line of work. But fortunately, I had shifted into consulting work prior to the pandemic happening. I would say like 5-6 months prior to the pandemic happening. So I got very lucky. I was able to continue to work, but I never worked from home. So it definitely gave me a lot more free time, and I just made sure to capture the moment and be as productive as humanly possible. And I'm proud to say that I think while it's a terrible thing what happened with coronavirus, I've definitely taken advantage of the ability to be at home and stay productive and work on other projects.
Now, what are your three most treasured albums in your music collection?
Yeah. So first one I can think of is probably Green Day's Dookie. I think that for me was kind of a life-changing album. It was a sound, between the lyrics and the sound and the artwork that really resonated with me. It's an album I can still listen to on repeat. Another album that was just as equally as life-changing, which is on a completely different spectrum, was Cannibal Corpse's Live Cannibalism record, specifically that live one. And I got it at the same time with the cassette tape. It was actually a VCD. It was before DVDs. I was living in mainland China, and I found a record store that had Live Cannibalism both on VCD and on CD. And I was already into metal at that point, but I had just never heard anything like it. And watching Corpse Grinder, the way he does his head spins, and at the time Pat O'Brien was in the band as well. His super long hair and just the whole vibe of it just completely blew me away. And I I would listen to the record and just stare at this album cover, and there was so much to unpack, and it made me so uncomfortable, but it was kind of cool and rebellious. So that's number 2, and then number 3 is oh man, this is gonna be a hard one to pick. Metallica's Ride the Lightning. That whole album from A to Z just completely blows my mind, and I still love it to this day.
Now, what is your favorite ghost story or urban legend from living in New York?
So I'm not very familiar with. Maybe I do know of urban legends, but I don't even think of them as urban legends anymore because they're just kind of ingrained in the fabric of who I am, being this New Yorker, born and raised here, except for a short stint abroad. I do have a ghost story. It's not specific to New York, but definitely a ghost story that made me believe in ghosts after that, which was I was in the Dominican Republic. At one point of my life, I was a very vigilant church-going Christian. No longer anymore, but I was a very vigilant Christian going on missionary trips, and we went to the Dominican Republic, and we had some break or something, and we went into this abandoned hotel. I mean, it was honestly really freaky. But we went in there with a few of the other guys, and I saw somebody walking around that I thought was a friend, and I followed them. When they turned a corner into a room, and I followed them into that room, the room was completely empty. It was actually terrifying and completely scared the shit out of me. I quickly ran back to the rest of the group. I went to the friend that I thought I saw, and that definitely wasn't him because he was at the other side of the hotel, this abandoned hotel. That's my ghost story.
Final words.
Final words. Hustle and go get it. Get off your ass and do something. Create something. Start a new hobby. Stay productive.
This has been an interview with Lost Becomes by Nick Burkell on May 9th, 2021.